Come to me, all you who labor and overburden, and I will give you rest. In his invitation, Jesus uses the image of a yoke, an image familiar to the farmers of his time. The yoke was a curved wooden beam placed over the neck of two animals, usually oxen, to enable them to pull a cart or a plow. In the Bible, the yoke was often used as symbol of the bondage and oppression from which God had delivered the enslaved people of Israel. At the time Jesus, the Torah or the law of Moses, the Ten Commandments, originally intended to help the Israelites to walk in the way of the Lord as a free people, had become another yoke, another form of oppression. This was because the religious leaders had made so many man-made rules and regulations to the Ten Commandments, 1,613 of them to the Ten Commandments that God gave to Moses. So living them in such details became a burden. It was difficult to live them. It became a burden on the shoulders of the people. Growing up in Nazareth, Jesus lives and works among ordinary people. He has first-hand experience of the struggles and frustrations. He felt for them and reached out to them with compassion and kindness. He condemned the scribes and Pharisees for crushing people with difficult, if not impossible, demands without ever lifting a finger to ease the burden. So Jesus wanted to free the people from unnecessary burdens, the burden of guilt, in order to experience the rest and the joy and the freedom of the children of God. So Jesus is making the same invitation and the same promise to us today. He says, come to me, all you who labor and overburden. And I believe all of us can identify with these words. And I will give you rest. The rest that Jesus promises is a release from even the experience of loving and serving God as a burden. No more joy, no more vitality, no more fire. The promise, the loving and serving God could be transformed into a sweet experience of rest and joy. One question I always remember from the retreat master who gave us the retreat last year in Cameron was, he asked us, do you experience your priestly ministry as a burden or a joy? That statement struck me. Is it a burden or a joy? There is a story of a man who met a boy carrying a crippled little boy on his back. And the man asked, there is a heavy burden you are carrying there. But the boy responded, no, it is not heavy. It is my brother. No burden is too heavy when it is carried in love. Carried in love, the yoke becomes easy and the burden light. So if you ask me, do I experience my PP ministry as a burden or a joy? My answer is yes. Burden in the sense of a lot of work, responsibilities and challenges, but it's worth it. I experienced the deep joy of loving fellowship and loving service. I thank God for the opportunity, for giving me this joy of loving service. So how about you? Do you experience your Christian duties and responsibilities, and for some your ministries, as a burden and no joy? Now there is another way of understanding this yoke of Jesus. Among the Jews, the yoke was put on the necks of two cattle, as I said, so that together they could pull the plough as one. That means it always takes two, a pair or a team to work as a yoke. So when Jesus asks us to take a yoke, we might as well ask, who is our yoke mate? Who is our teammate? Who is our partner? Of course, for us, first of all, it should be Jesus himself. So Jesus invites us to yoke with him. To take the yoke of Jesus and yoke with Jesus means that we identify ourselves with him. Our vision and mission with his vision and mission. It also means that we are not pulling the yoke alone by ourselves, but together with Jesus, together with others. There is a story of a man who had a dream. In the dream, he was walking along a sandy beach with Jesus. And they were replaying all the important moments of his life. And the man noticed that for each scene, there were always two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and the other belonging to Jesus. But he also noticed that when they came to the most difficult and trying moments of his life, there was only one set of footprints to be seen. So the man could not understand, and he asked Jesus, Lord, you say that once I decided to follow you, you will walk together with me all the way. Why is it that during the most difficult periods of my life, when I needed you the most, you would leave me? Jesus replied, my child, I love you and I will never leave you. During the most difficult moments of your life, when you see only one set of footprints, those were the times I carried you. Jesus says, come to me. So, do you go to him? Is Jesus the last person to go to seek help? The last person, the last resort, not the first one, you know? And how to go to Jesus? Simple. To the practice of daily prayer, daily Bible reading. Through these two practices, we connect with and in communion with Jesus. We listen to him, learn from his teachings. Jesus' teachings is very clear. Seek first the kingdom of God. Or just seek God first. Seek God and his will first, and all the rest will come to you. Jesus also says, take my yoke upon you. Are you pulling the yoke alone by yourselves, or are you yoking with Jesus? Again, how to yoke with Jesus? By cultivating a close personal relationship with Him. How? Through the practice of daily prayer, daily Bible prayer, daily Bible reading, and also through your involvement or participation in a Christian fellowship. Friends, so come to me and you will find rest for your souls. That is a great invitation from Jesus, which we should never refuse.